afternoon. So today we here with Leone Brown from W.D.Legal. Yeah, how you doing, Leone?
I'm doing great. Look at the sunshine shining on my face. I have to put my shades on.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm doing great. It's lovely to
feel like you're on holiday, innit?
Yeah.
Yeah. So So you're from the organization W.D.Legal, and what does that stand for?
So WD stands for Windrush Defenders.
Yeah.
So it's Windrush Defenders Legal. It's a community interest company that was set up just over 4 years ago. We started out in the wake of the Windrush scandal. We came together as a group of volunteers after the scandal to mobilize the community and to see how well we could assist those who were affected by the scandal.
Yeah.
And so we started out by having meetings, and in the beginning when we started having meetings, one of the meetings that we went to, it was full with people, and we were thinking, why are these meetings so well attended?
Yeah.
But in the meeting we would ask, is anyone here affected by the scandal?
Yeah.
And raise your hand, and no one would raise their hand.
Okay.
Then one of my colleagues got up and spoke about his experience with the immigration and the disproportionate immigration law, and talked how he was faced with deportation. And then after he spoke, we asked the question again, is there anyone in the room affected by the scandal? And then hands start going up.
Okay.
So then we realized that people were a bit scared to own up, to say that they have been affected by the scandal, that they have gone through terrible experiences. So as soon as people start putting their hands up, what followed from then is that we started to have one-to-one. We started to do surgeries at the Windrush Millennium Center, where we were offering one-to-one assistance to people. And
who was affected,
what came out of that made us realize that we can't just start and stop. We had to put something in place to continue to support those who were affected. And here we are today, 5 years on from the scandal, still doing that work. So that's how we started, really.
And that's W.D.Legal.
That's W.D.Legal.
Yeah. So are you being funded by the Windrush itself, or?
So when we started, we didn't have no funding at all. We had a small grant from Arawak Housing Association, gave us a very, very small grant for us to set up, to buy like a laptop and a few resources that we need to make sure that we are dealing confidentially with people's information. But predominantly, most of the money came from our own pockets. So at the time when we set up, there was about 5 of us. As time went on, people can't give so much of their time, so they drop off. And so the core 3 of us is myself, Leone, Lorna Downer, and Anthony Brown. So those are the 3 co-founders of W.D.Legal. And unfortunately, we don't have government funding. We don't get no funding at all from the government. It helps us to remain objective and subjective. So, but over the last 12 months or so, we have had grants, and I can speak about those a little bit later on. When I'm speaking about the core work that we've been doing, I can get into that a little bit more. But no, we don't get any form of government grants. Because we're challenging the government.
So just tell us
they're
a bit
not going to fund us to challenge them.
So tell us a bit more about you and the organization and what you do around the community, really.
Right, okay. I guess I think a good place to start is to give a background of the scandal itself and how that came about and
so
why
how,
it happened.
So how did the scandal came about? You're talking the Windrush scandal, yeah?
The Windrush scandal.
How did that came about?
So the Windrush scandal is basically where it's disproportionate enforcement of immigration law that was disproportionate towards the African Caribbean people.
Yeah.
In so much that hundreds or thousands of people found themselves being treated as illegal immigrants, and some lost their jobs, some were put in detention, some got deported, some were refused government treatments from the NHS, benefits, all of that. All of that was going on, and it was covered. No one knew that the community, our people, were suffering in that way. But then it surfaced in mainstream media. First, it was a lady called Amelia Gentleman who did an article in The Guardian to expose what was going on with our people. And once that came out, that then became known as this scandal. But how did it happen? Why did it happen? In 2014, Theresa May, who was the Home Secretary at the time, came up with a policy which she called the Hostile Environment Policy, which was essentially to get rid of illegal immigrants. They wanted them to deport themselves. They wanted the environment to be so hostile that there is no way for them to stay, so that they would leave the country of their own accord. So that was the policy that she came up with. So I don't know whether people are aware that it affected bank accounts. You couldn't open a bank account unless you prove that you are a citizen, have permanent stay here. You couldn't get a driver's license. You couldn't you couldn't access the NHS. You couldn't access the NHS, and also service. You're not supposed to work unless you were able to prove that. So what happened was a big campaign to say, places an obligation on all of these institutions and individuals like landlords to say you can't rent your property to someone unless you do the check and find out that they are supposed to be rented. What the Home Office didn't do was to show institutions and individuals how to do those checks, and it was a huge fine. So if a landlord was found to have rented their accommodation, their house, to someone who was an illegal immigrant, they would be fined something like £10,000. Now, who want to be fined that? You know what I mean? If someone like a small business like yourself was found employing someone who wasn't supposed to be working in the country, they would be found £10,000 for each worker.
I think they changed that to 20 as well.
20,000 or something like that. But what happened is it drove fear into people. So, and because the Home Office wasn't good in explaining how to carry out those checks, people of course just thought, you know what, I'm just gonna employ white people because I know that they're probably more than likely not to be illegal immigrants, and then or I'm just gonna rent my property to just white people because I don't know how to check. And then those who wanted to do some checks, they were asking people for British passport. Now, everyone, most people would know that you don't have to have a British passport to have the rights to remain here and to have the rights to work and to access all of these. You can have no time limit on your stay. You can have indefinite leave to remain here. You can be on visas that allow you to do those things. But what they were doing is saying, bring your British passport or we're gonna sack you. So we have a lot of people who were working with the NHS for a number of years. They were kicked out of their jobs, the local authorities, other institutions like the universities, and just small employment as well. They just couldn't produce a British passport because they probably they couldn't prove
That
their
there was,
legal
yeah,
status in the
status, yeah,
country.
yeah.
And this is what caught the Windrush, some of the Windrush people from the Windrush generation got caught up into this policy that was meant to be for illegal immigrants, and a lot of sufferings went on.
I know, but
Yeah.
so are you saying that was an accident, coincident, or are you saying it was deliberate? Because to me, it seemed deliberate.
It's deliberate.
Yeah, because
We don't believe, and I'm glad, I hope this is uncut. We don't believe that it's an accident. We know that if you look back at immigration laws over the year, they were strategically done to to ensure that the African Caribbean people are kept from benefiting
yes,
in certain regards
from the system.
Yes, you know, so I don't believe that it was.
I know, but I don't cut you. But the whole reason why we're talking about this conversation was the whole reason why these people came over.
Yeah.
Windrush.
Yeah.
So you took them from their comfortable homes, tricked them, take them here, then you treat them like dogs, innit?
Because we know that the hostile environment policy that came out in 2014, we know that the Windrush generation has been facing hostility from they came off the first ship on the 22nd of June 1948. The hostility started there. So they've faced hostility throughout their whole time that they've been here. So we know that. But to answer your question, whether it was strategically done, we believe that it was strategically done. They just never thought that they would get found out. When the scandal broke, right, and people started to try to get their documentation sorted out, it found out that the landing cards of all the Windrush generation, their landing cards, because remember, some people couldn't prove when they come into the country, the passports, have disappeared or gone astray. Some people came on their parents' passports and stuff like that, our brothers and sisters together on one passport. The landing card that was supposed to prove when people arrived in the country, guess when it was destroyed? Right.
The year before.
Yes. So the landing card they were all destroyed. Did they have to destroy the landing cards? We know that we've moved into computer age and so on, but we know that document can be scanned in.
No, but regardless of
kept.
that, I don't cut you, but that's their fault. So if people give them it, they should have to take the people and benefit word for it, because you messed up, innit? The people didn't mess up.
I know. So when you look at the timing of when things were done, it begs for the question: Is it a mistake? Was it strategically done? You could have given the landing cards to the Black Cultural Archive so that they archive these things, because it means something to the people that travel on these cards, the landing card. But you destroyed them.
So the next thing within the same, I don't want to take you off fruit, but
no.
When did Jamaica come independence?
1962.
62.
Yeah.
So basically, if you was born before 1962, which is you're talking about 1948, when the first ship came in. So technically, these people was already British, because Jamaica was still under British rule up until 1962. Right. Yeah. So how is it making sense for these people now to come here and even trying to prove themselves when they already been told that when they come here they're gonna get jobs, they're gonna get houses, they're gonna get everything, and then they come here working in coal mines, working in snow, as high as they
wouldn't give them the good paid job, and when they have to take the menial jobs, and they couldn't get houses to rent, and so when one person rents an accommodation, they would bring other people in on it, so and it was overcrowded, and all of that environment that they had to live through. It was bad. It was very, very, very bad. And a good person to speak to, I guess, is an historian, and I would ask you to probably interview that person as well as a follow-up.
Yeah.
That's someone that can give you the historic, rich history
because
of what goes on,
that.
and that is Linford Sweeney.
Linford Sweeney.
He is he's an historian, and he will give you a lot of that because if we start talking about that now, I'm telling you, it goes off. But to summarize, so they came, and when at the time when they were coming into the country, there was nothing called British citizenship, right? What there was the citizen of the United Kingdom and colonies. Now remember that the Caribbean islands were colonies.
Yeah.
They were colonized by the UK.
Mm-hmm.
So what were in those days, people were citizens of the United Kingdom and colonies. So the UK people had that citizenship, the Caribbean people had that. So when they came into the country, they were citizens of the United Kingdom and colonies, the same as the British who were born here. Yeah.
So
the British Nationality Act came in 1981. Which I think it took effect in 1983, and that's when people became British. And that's when they said as well that if you were born here, you don't necessarily become British. It goes off your parents. Yeah. So you see the changes in the law.
When was the last Windrush ship that came?
I'm not too sure. I don't think I have that information. I think people sailed up until 1973 or mid-70s or something like that. Yeah.
The reason why I ask you that is because I know it's 75 years since the first
in
Windrush.
1948.
Yeah, 1948. So basically, if it takes us to 1973, it's possible that we have still got loads of survivors.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So
we have people here, right here in Manchester, who will tell you that the name of the ship that they came on. Yeah. Because remember, we said the HMT Windrush, that was the first ship, but there were loads of other ships that came, and people. There's someone like Winston Dacres that will tell you the name of his ship that he came on, and lots of people that will tell you the name of the ship that they came on, where they docked.
But with it being the 75th going on now, should we not have some of those people coming forward and like giving their stories, even at some of these events? Because that's what I was thinking, that and maybe at these events they're probably going to have someone, and that's why I asked you that question, because I don't know if people have been there, but I've not seen anyone to of that age group who I think we've probably got that information. And I think
it's a shame, because you know what, at our event that we just had last Saturday, we had some vox pop of people that we've interviewed.
So that's W.D.Legal.
W.D.Legal event, and we're going to talk about that, because I'm not leaving until we talk about that, right? So we had videos of people of the Windrush, the first generation, because we refer to them as first generation Windrush, because we are all descendants, aren't we? Yeah. So people of the first generation gave interviews, and those were played on a big screen at the event. Okay. And people were able to see. I got there late. So so we do that, and we try to promote them as much as possible to show who they are and to give interview. But it's a delicate matter, and we have to be careful, and we have to nurture this, because the experience that they've gone through has been traumatic. And when you're talking to people about traumatic events that they've been through, they are reliving that trauma, and that can cause psychological, further psychological trauma. So.
But to me, because of certain things right now, I believe that the younger generation, what went on, from those generations, and I'm thinking like basically if they should hear these stories and what their grandparents have been through to make us here today can walk freely, so-called freely, and get about and doing stuff, then basically they won't appreciate the whole, what the generation has been through, and I believe that's why the word needs to be to spread more, even though it might be in those generation highs, like I said, traumatizing them, and they might not want to, but it's the reality. So what we can do is capture some of those interviews, and that's why when we capture like an interview, we use that instead of asking people to do it live.
like come all the time, taking them to talks to colleges and university. We do it on a video, and then we have that to show.
Okay.
So because then they're not reliving that trauma
every time.
Every time they have to give a speech, and every time they have to talk. So we have archives. We are trying to get an archive as well, put together so that generation to come can see that as well, so it's not dying off. As we die off, as we grow old and we pass on, that the legacy and the history is captured and put into an archive, so that our third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh generation can see the history, because we cannot rely on people to tell our history the way how it's supposed to be told.
But you know, with you saying like Linford and Sweeney is a great historian, and the stuff he teaches and that, what you just suggested there with the archives you're planning to create, or you're creating at the moment, you're starting to create, I believe what you guys should probably do, just a suggestion, is try and run a class over there at the Windrush, once a week maybe, trying to teach like the kids them, because at the end of the day, if it's in the archive, it's just going to be sat there, because until someone who is interested go and look for it, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, if I got my kids and I know I can send them to, you know what I mean, learn a bit about the history.
We have been doing a lot of different work. So what you've just suggested here is exactly what we bid for. In the 750,000 Windrush funding that was granted, No, that was granted. We asked for funding to create a training package that could be delivered to school children, college, university. So it would be produced by young people. Right. So what you've just said there is what we bid for from the 750,000 Windrush funding this year that was granted to celebrate. And the idea we had was to get young people to support them with professors from the university and that, to do research and to produce a training package that could be delivered to schools and university. Because if I understand what you're saying, and we can do that, but the reach, how many people would we reach? But when we produce something that can be either even online or go around the country and go around Greater Manchester, we're not waiting on people to come to us. We are taking it to them. And when we do go to a school in an assembly and deliver a training, we are reaching hundreds of children. So the training package was that's what we funded for. We didn't get the funding, but the idea hasn't gone away.
So I like the way you clarify that you didn't get the funding, because I didn't thought they would give you the funding, not for us to teach ourselves, you know.
No.
And this is why I suggested the small starting, because if we started with a little room of 10 or 20, at least we're cluing up someone, and like you said, at least we might have one or two out of that 10 who might come and pick up that archive that you guys are building, because we're going to need that generation to come on with it, because we are getting there now ourselves, isn't it? So we're going to need that generation, and it's those people, because what I don't believe they want. Look, in schools right now, they're showing about certain things in books. We don't even want to talk about it. They're telling kids to do this and do that, and they're bringing whatever things into school. But things like this, which is our history and what we've been through, it's been kept out. You know what I mean? And we have to take it up on ourselves to teach our children, because when you look at it now, everyone is trying to hold our people back. And this is the reason why we started talking about the Windrush.
I'm talking about the scandal.
I'm talking about the scandal. What shouldn't have happened, because these people come here, work so hard,
treated badly.
And what we must say is this: a lot of those people is not even being compensated.
No, they're not being compensated. I'm going to talk about compensation. I'll just stay on with education for a minute. Stay with education for a minute. And I'll touch on the event that went on Saturday. Because the event that went on Saturday, so over the last 5 years, W.D.Legal has been working with the Windrush generation Right from the scandal broke, and we've assisted hundreds of people to get their documentation straightened out. And then when the Windrush compensation scheme was opened, we started to assist people in getting compensation. So I'm going to come back to that. But what I want to say is over the 5 years, we didn't feel like we could celebrate because they made it a Windrush Day. 22nd of June is a Windrush Day every year. But we didn't feel like there was so much work to be done. We didn't feel like we have the time to celebrate yet. But we've done 5 years worth of work. And I can go into details of some of that work in a minute. But this year, we decided that we want to celebrate. It's 75 years. That's 7.5 decades of contribution of the Windrush generation to this country. So we wanted to celebrate, and so we put on an event. It was held on the 17th of June, 2023, just so that this is not timeless. This is timeless. 17th of June, 2023, at the Windrush Millennium Center, over there on Alexandra Road. And that event, we use a strap line: commemorate, celebrate, and educate, because we felt like it was important to commemorate them, the Windrush generation and their descendants, for what they've done and how they've contributed. And we also wanted to celebrate them, but more importantly, we wanted to educate people. And I'm so sorry that I haven't got the book. I'm going to give you the book so that you can put it on. We produced a book to educate people about the Windrush generation, and it's a fun book as well because we made it interactive. So it's got like crossword puzzle in it, and word search, and Windrush master chef to tell people about ingredients, how to, and the language is there as well.
But has it got any stories?
It's got the historic stuff in it in a very easy to understand language. It's got all of that in it, but it also saluted some of our greats. People who have contributed to locally here in Manchester, but also nationally. And we've got an article in there about a sound system, one of our local sound system, and we pay tribute to some of the people who contributed to music who are no longer with us as well under that. It's really good book. If anyone's passing the Windrush Millennium Center and would like a copy of that book, I'd say just pop in and ask for a copy of the Windrush One Love book. It was called the Windrush One Love Fest, and just ask for a copy of the book. There's a lot of them still over there, so you just pick up your copy. It's free, and pass it on to the younger. It's in a language that the younger generation can understand. And I
when
think
you say a language, what do you mean by it? Because we only speak Patois or
no,
English.
when I say a language, is that sometimes when like I'm talking to you now, I use terminology that people don't really understand, but because we are talking to the Home Office and to the press and to the different organizations, we talk in a certain kind of way. So we use language like they didn't have the right of a board. Do you understand what I mean? And people don't really understand what that means. But when people came, they didn't have the right of a board and stuff like that. These are terminology that you don't understand, but it's legal thing. It's to do with the same language that they use in these law act of parliaments and stuff like that. So, and we use them every day thinking that people understand what we're talking, but everyday people won't understand that. So the language is simple, straightforward explanation of the scandal, explanation of when the people came, why did they come. It explained that they were invited here, and all of that, and what were their experience when they came, and all of that. So it's explained in a really straightforward way. When I said the language is straightforward way. But if you're talking about the language though, the Patois and the Creole that we use, there's a whole section in it that tells you about the different words that we use in the different Caribbean islands, that when you go on holiday and you hear people saying, man, Irie, Wagwan, what y'all say? and stuff like that. You know,
so let's just clear one thing up. Let's clear one thing up for the viewers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember, Windrush is not just about Jamaica.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's about
the whole
all
Caribbean
island. Yeah. It just happened that us Jamaica.
The majority of them came from Jamaica.
Yeah. And with our presence, you know, we are always extra. So we take over everything. Yeah, but anyway, so tell us a bit more about the event now, and so you were saying we have to wrap up.
Yeah,
soon,
because the event, I think we would do it again because we've done a survey and people said they would want to have that event again. So the event to commemorate, we had the stalls, the cultural stalls.
Yeah.
We had dominoes, we have draft. All of them kind of tournament was going on. We had food.
Yeah.
We were giving the over 65 free food, and we have the well-being treatments. People were getting in private rooms. They were getting neck and shoulder massage. They were getting hand reflexology, and all of those kind of treatments. So we were really treating the Windrush generation, the over 65s. And then in terms of celebrate, we had a massive stage show. It was intergenerational. We had young people as young as 17 performing on that stage show. We had well-known artists, all locally here to Manchester, homegrown artists, and they were fantastic. The message, you know, we had spoken word artists like poets, and we had rappers, we had reggae artists, we had the full work. So we did a good celebration. And in terms of the education, we produced a book. We had the Vox Pops of those videos popping up and educating people so that they can see real first Windrush generation people and all of that. So yeah. So that was the event. It was fantastic. The vibes was right. We had, oh my goodness, it was just amazing. It was just an amazing event.
So you turned out well, yeah?
It turned out well. It could have been a little bit more attended, but unfortunately things beyond our control in terms of promotion and stuff like that got a little bit mixed up with different events that are happening over the rest of this month, and so on. But for those who were there,
so you know, so on that event, I put up a part of your event, and one question someone was asking under it was why there was so many different events representing Windrush. Could you elaborate on that? I know obviously.
I don't know. I've heard people said as well, why didn't we all come together and do one event? Okay. So let me explain that, because so this year Windrush is 75 years, so it's significant, you know what I mean? So what happened is that we have a series of events throughout the whole of June.
Okay.
Different people doing different things, right? None of the events are alike. They're not the same. If you go to one of them, they're doing a particular thing, and another one is doing a particular thing. When you think about something like Manchester International Festival, you've got a series of events happening over the course of a time, and people choose to go to whichever one they want to go to, whatever interest they have, and so on. So my question then is, why would we, the Windrush generation contributed 7.5 decades to this country, right? Why would we capture all of that, right? All of that into one event? How can one event represent all of that? You understand what I mean? Why do we have to think so? It's a bit, it's small, a small way. I don't want to say small-minded way of thinking.
I understand your point, but I think what people are looking at is more like the attendance-wise, because there's so many of them keeping, so people are attending all those ones, and then they're ending up not. So then, therefore, you've got some here, some there, some there.
Because the problem then is people need to attend. Do you know what I mean? The problem is not why do you put so many on. You understand? Because there isn't any of them that duplicating. I know that there was an event that's called economic tourism. That's more about the Windrush generation here in the diaspora, you know, linking back with the home islands and so on. Then was our event, which is more to commemorate, to celebrate, and to educate. And then there's another event that's happening on the weekend. I don't know. I can't speak about that event.
With the anchor.
There was one with the anchor. That's not the same event.
And there was one in Cheetah Mill.
There was one in Cheetah Mill.
Already there's 25 together.
It's every day. The Linford Sweeney's doing talks just up the road. There is some at the universities. There's a diary of them, and they don't really duplicate.
But you know,
so it's a choice as to what people want to go.
Which is true. But you know, the one question someone says, would they have had all these events if there was not been funded? Like, would someone like take it on to themselves and says, okay, you know what? It's like Jamaican independence. We're going to celebrate the independence today. We don't need to be funded. So do you think, like, for the 75th anniversary, like, do you think if it wasn't funded, they would have that many meetings? So W.D.Legal, they are part of Windrush, which is, and Khan is probably the next recognized one, I would say, them two, But for the, I'm not calling out anyone, but I'm just saying for the others, I'm saying maybe people would say, okay, they're just keeping something, But these two organizations, we do know, because we know W.D.Legal has been there for the past 5 years, and we know Khan has been representing, for the Windrush community. But what some people were saying was last year they didn't feel like Khan represented the Windrush generation in the right way, because there was not many people from the Windrush actually from the Caribbean background actually at that event last year. And I'm not sure if anyone took it up and said it to Khan themselves. I don't know what this year is going to be like. So and we are not talking on Khan because you're from a different organization, so I know you can't. That event.
But what I can say to you, our event, we made sure that it was about the Windrush generation,
and that's what it should
be.
We
had a replica of a pop-up ship that was there, and we had all the islands flags. People were able to take pictures with those. Everything that happened there can be linked back to one of the home highlands,
as it should
as it should be. So I can't speak on behalf of another organization, but I do know that what I try to do is not to replicate something that's going to happen there as well. I think, and this is just presumption, that their events sometimes have like people that they call on stage and interview people there and then. So we didn't have any of that. You understand? It was, it was holding its own. Our event was holding its own.
I think it's about
and it was Windrush straight through.
I think it's more about involvement, because if we are going to be doing something for Windrush Caribbean generation, you have to have people from the Windrush and from the Caribbean generation involved in that. And we are not saying that basically whatever the organization is can't do whatever they do.
More importantly, you need people who have been working
in the community
with the Windrush generation, who understand that because you can't presume these things. You understand? You have to understand. Just like how you asked me and say, why don't we have people from the first generation speaking? Because I know when I explain it to you, it pops in it. It makes sense straight away. Because we couldn't just grab people and just put them out there
every time randomly.
Because we've been working with them, we realized the trauma and that we would be asking them to relive a trauma. So, and you only get that when you've been working with them. You know what I mean? So you have to understand as well. And I'm not ashamed to tell you that in the our treatment rooms, the well-being treatments, we still have people who broke down and cry.
Wow.
Because
75 years
because they've not been touched and getting treated and being made to relax and just let it go.
And a lot of them haven't dealt with the trauma, like you said, innit? Because like you said, when in that meeting that you was at that time when you asked for people to put their hands up, no one did that first. Like I said, not until one person, and then you find out that how many people has been going through. So we all know that.
I think we need to talk about a little bit of that. So once we started working with people, when we start working with the community, we realized that there has been a lot of hidden sufferings of our people. I'm telling you, there were people who are in the same house as their family, and their family members didn't know some of what they were going through because they were covering it up, let alone anyone outside of that. That we've seen a lot of tears in them rooms. We have seen a lot of tears, and that is the reason why I'm speaking for myself now, could not pull myself away from working with the Windrush generation after seeing and starting to hear what they have been through and how it has affected them, how it has stopped them from going on holidays with their family, how they had to watch their wife and children go on holiday while they stay back home because they know that they haven't got the documentation, how their children couldn't get passports because they can't prove that they are citizens here in this country. It's a lot, and people break down because you're, like I said, it's traumatic experience, and people are reliving that trauma.
I spoke to a guy, a mate of mine, and he went out Jamaica and he got stuck for 10 years.
Yeah.
10 years.
It's probably one of our clients.
You know,
he had flesh-eating bacteria. Just took up a part of him. He lived on the street. You know, and yeah, he came back. And I just hope that he will be compensated for that. But
I know, and this is the next part, what I'm saying, because
it's so much to talk about. You know? I think, you know what I think? I think we are going to have to have a part 2,
yeah,
a part 3, and a part 4.
Yeah, you're right, because there's a lot. But the,
you know what? I feel like you're understanding it a bit more.
No, but you know, it's just common sense because so that's why I said to you, we just talk and it just flows because So the last, but let's just give them some information. So basically, you said your organization, W.D.Legal, is here to help those people who has been through those stress. So if anyone's got any issues regarding the Windrush, whether it's stress, whether it's how to claim, whether it's how to, you guys give them assistance,
we give assistance. There has been a lot of misinformation gone out there quite recently, where a particular person was going around and telling people that they can claim for various things that's not really truthful. However, if you think that you need to talk to someone because something has happened to you because you were not the important thing here is if you were not able at some point to prove that you've got a legal status in the country and something happened. That's the important thing. It's not just for anything, it's not being able to prove your legal status, and as a result of that you've suffered some kind of consequence. And if you're out there as well also and still not have your legal status rectified and you've been here before 1988, come and see us. We do a Windrush surgery every Thursday at the Windrush Millennium Center. We're not based there, but we have a surgery that we do there. And if you call the Windrush Millennium Center, they will be able to book you an appointment.
And that's free.
It's free.
Yeah.
It's free. It's not funded.
No, we're just
but it's free.
It's not funded.
Nothing that we do we charge for.
Yeah.
Nothing. Even the event, it was free.
Right.
Everything was free. We don't charge anyone for anything. If we can't afford to do it, we just don't do it.
Yeah.
But for now, all of our services, what we offer is free.
It's free. Okay.
I do want to talk just a little bit about our other work that we've been doing though. Just before you close, I just want to talk. So you know, I've talked already about helping people with the documentation, helping people with the compensation claim. Over the last, we've always done it, but more so over the last 12 months, we have been challenging the government to change policies that are adversely affecting the African Caribbean community, because we believe fundamentally that these policies have contributed to the scandal itself, and that it continues to prevent the government from making to repair the damage and the serious harm that they have caused to the community. And so we have a body of work that we call burning work. And under that agenda, we challenge the government to change policies. And so we might not be out there where you see it visually what we're doing, but rest assured, and you can go on our website as well and see some of our work. Because we are a small team, we haven't got time to go be boastful and show off about our work. We just get on with action people, and we just get on with it.
So when you say you challenge the government, how do you do that?
Right, okay. So one thing we did was we took the Home Secretary to court under judicial review.
Is that W.D.Legal?
Yeah.
Yeah?
W.D.Legal, along with some other barristers that assisted. So we took the Home Office to court, not the Home Office, the Home Secretary to court to have a judicial review to say that the Windrush schemes, the documentation and the compensation scheme they're not fit for purpose. That unfortunately the Home Office, their defense was that they are using the law that's being created by Parliament, and that they don't make primary legislation, they are just practicing it. But so if basically what they're saying is that we have to challenge Parliament.
Yeah, which is what I thought, because that's why I asked you the question.
So that's just one way.
Okay.
Right. But remember now, we are challenging policies.
Yeah.
So over the last 12 months, we've been funded by the Joseph Rowntree Reform Trust to do a piece of work that will create and design and test a model to hand over to the government that will assist them in repairing the harm that they've done. Because what we found is that when something comes to surface about how they've treated our people, first thing they do is we'll look into it, we'll do an inquiry, we'll do a report. And these reports take years to be conducted. And by the time the report comes out, the momentum has passed, nobody interested in that anymore, and then that report sits on a shelf and nothing gets changed. They continue with that practice, right? We didn't want that anymore. We said we will tell you how to repair this. We will tell you how we want you to work with our people. We want the African and Caribbean people to be involved in policy making that are affecting them, so that it better work for that community. And this is the part where I'm saying now, sometimes we talk in a certain kind of way where it's not an easy language. So Wendy Williams did the Windrush lesson learned review. After the scandal, remember I said they always do a review and they always do a report? Well, it was Wendy Williams that they contracted to do the report and the review. And the report is there, it's called Windrush Lessons Learned Review. In that, what she said was that there has been a thoughtlessness towards the African Caribbean community. And it's like they have been institutionally forgotten. Right? Strong words.
Deliberately.
Strong words. And she made 30 recommendations. And I don't know if you've seen in mainstream media that they did accepted those 30 recommendations. But recently with this new Home Secretary, they have gone back on 3 of them, the last 3. So you know that they've gone back off. They're not doing those 3. Right?
It's very good that someone is there challenging the system, because that's what I always say, like, who is representing us? Because I didn't even know there was an organization representing us, because I always think, because that lady in the House of Parliament, she's not there anymore, is she?
Priti Patel?
No, man, I'm talking about that black lady, Douglas, what's her name?
Oh, Diane Abbott. Diane Abbott. Okay.
Yeah, Abbott, yes. So I was thinking of our Lamy.
David Lamy.
I thought that one of them would be speaking on this Windrush, because Lamy, they do, but that's what I'm saying, they're not getting any results, because I'm saying that people should not. This is how long? 2014.
It's incremental. They get results, but it's so much that needs changing that for you to actually see the result, it has to incremental pile up until you can see the result. And it's the same thing with what we're doing. We are getting results, but it's not so visible yet. because it's so much that needs
I
changing.
know, but it is, but because, and like I said, you're a small organization, they are the head. So therefore, at the end of the day, one thing they change could impact on a lot of people. So at the end of the day, like you said, if David Lammy really gone and sat up and speak, I'm not saying he hasn't, but what I'm saying is if someone stand up and they have done the right thing, everyone would have been compensated by now.
They do. You've got to remember that these people aren't just gonna roll over and just give us what we have to continue to. They should, but remember the Home Office is not ready to just give us the what we are asking for.
So why is it that you're thinking, if that's the case, you're thinking that
we
the
have
legislation
to continue
that
to
you're putting towards them?
Yeah.
Because like I said, they refuse free. This new one that comes now refuse free, turn free down. So they will always gonna find stuff. Because they don't want to give us what we want.
That's what I'm saying. There has been changes, but it's incremental. It's after build of small changes. So each change is only small. So when we have a result here, and then we have another result, and after a while, you will see it. It will become more visible. I know. But it's incremental, and it's you've got to. You have to understand that we're chanting down Babylon.
It's just frustrating, isn't it?
We're chanting down Babylon. You understand?
Just very frustrating to see the people them come here and work so hard, go through so much, and then like I said, it feels like not much has been done really, for really represent them. Like you said, it looked like that because there's so much has been done, isn't it? No. So it don't make no sense. You get me?
So this protocol that we've developed, it follows 3 phases. One, we build a coalition of organizations and individuals, right? And then that coalition will act as an intermediary between the community and the government, right? So when they're developing policy, that coalition would then bring the community together into a forum and analyze discriminatory policy and say, how do you want it to be changed? And then they go to the departments that are responsible for the policy and in a workshop work out the policy recommendation, how they can change that and make it better work for the African and Caribbean community and make it serve us better. It's better than doing reports and sitting it on a shelf. And they've accepted that, and that's a piece of work that we've just done. We have asked Manchester City Council, we've called them already into one of those workshops and say, we need you to work with us. You've not really signed up that much to the Windrush agenda, have you? We need you to work with us. We need you to better. This is a democratic country. We put you where you are.
Exactly.
You now need to represent us. And they have accepted the protocol and said they would work with us.
So they should.
And at this moment, if you go around, the first thing is a communication strategy that we're doing with Manchester City Council. Throughout the digital billboards, you will see pictures of people holding up another picture, and it said Windrush 75, and it's giving W.D.Legal as a place to come to if they need to find out anything.
Advice,
it's all around the city, and that's because out of the protocol work that we have done. So we are getting a little bit of result, but it needs to be incremental, and more people need to be doing the same thing for you to see visually that. Otherwise, it'll take a while before it comes to the surface, the whole picture.
All right,
it's been great talking to you. I feel like
you get me, we have to go have a part 2 still,
definitely have to have a part 2.
When the time right, with us, so we see what information the people them ask next. So like I said, you know where to find our W.D.Legal, the Windrush. They deal with all the Windrush situation. So anything you have to need sorting out. If you just need someone to speak to, if you need someone just to, like she said, a bit of rub down a bit of shoulder work.
That was for the event, you know. Stop telling people.
Was that for the,
That's just for the
I thought you
event.
said you had that once a week. Did you not say, what did you say you got once a week?
A surgery where we see people one-to-one and assist them with their documentation and with their compensation. And if they want further information about, you know, anything to do with Windrush. But unfortunately, if you want the
back rub, that gone already.
Neck and shoulder massage, you have to wait until next year.
Next year again, So, yes, so you know, anywhere to find out for the paperwork, just W.D.Legal. Yeah, they are the one representing the Windrush generation and the Windrush people, fighting the cause and fighting on our behalf, So we need people like this in the community. Like she said, it's just 3 of them in the organization. Big up Lana, big up Anthony.
And Keisha and Davinia, who are our volunteers.
Yes.
And remember the next volunteer.
Everybody.
Because she started new.
Don't worry.
Sorry, the next volunteer.
Don't worry, but these people like these, we need in the communities to be doing the work, you know, and taking on stuff head on, because we need people to challenge the system, because we feel like we are lost to the system, you know, and we haven't got anyone to speak for us. Hence why we need some more black lawyers, black accountants, black doctors, So all these people is very important, because we need people in the right places, Simple as that for us to get to the right places, So do the right thing,
I'll just give out the email address for W.D.Legal, so you can contact us at the team at wdlegal.co.uk, and also you can check out our website, which is wdlegal.co.uk.
Okay, you hear that, and make sure you like the video, subscribe, make a comment, Must I Talk TV, like and share,